So December 2001, question number 4 says, Mega Techniques Limited makes special purpose equipment according to customer specifications. During the past year, one of its loyal customers, Power Limited, ordered a specialized equipment to be fabricated for it. Mega Techniques Limited finished construction of the equipment only to be notified that Power Limited had recently gone into liquidation and would not therefore take the equipment. The original price to Power Limited had been agreed at 9.108, which included an estimated normal profit markup of 10% on total costs. The costs incurred to manufacture the machine were direct materials, direct wages, overheads. We have the variable, we have the fixed, and the fixed selling. After a sustained search, the sales manager of Mega Techniques Limited has managed to locate one potential buyer, A.M.A Systems Limited, which has indicated that it could buy the machine if certain conversion work would be carried out. Mega Techniques Limited's production department has made a preliminary assessment which reveals that conversion would entail extra work costed as follows. We have direct materials, wages, X and Y, variable overheads, fixed overhead in X and Y. The following additional information is provided. So we are given all that, and we are told to get the minimum price that Mega Techniques Limited should accept from A.M.A Systems for the converted machine, and explain clearly how you arrive at your answer. So that question is on special pricing. Is on what we call special pricing. Special pricing decision. And it has to do with how you recognize the relevant costs. So if I arrange my table this way, I have the cost item, then I have the explanation and computation. Of relevance. Then I have the amount. Something like that. The cost item, explanation and computation of relevance, or relevant amount, then the amount. And what is happening here is that this company had gotten a customer who ordered for a product and paid the deposit. And the company began to make the product. But when they had just finished, waiting for the customer to come and clear the balance and pick the item, they got information that the customer had gone into liquidation, meaning the customer now cannot come and pick the item. So at that point, they have now sought for an alternative, someone who can buy the machine. So they have gotten someone who is willing to take the machine, but with some specifications. So there is some further work that needs to be done. So the question now is, this newly found customer, how much should they be charged? How much should they be charged for the reworked machine? So that is what we are going to answer based on the concepts of relevance. Remember we said relevance is the ability to affect or to influence a decision. So this question, we have the first table here. The first table is talking of the original machine costs. Then the second table here is talking of the costs of reworking. And then we have that part, which is about the additional information. So the additional information will help us to know what of this we shall include or exclude. So let's go to the additional information. We read one by one as we respond appropriately. So the following additional information is provided. Number one, in the original machine, there were 3 types of basic materials. Type P could now be sold as a scrap or to a scrap merchant for $5.40. What that means for type, if we come to basic materials or direct materials, or we can call them basic materials. Basic materials, starting with type P, we are told it could be sold. I told you, if you are holding a material that you can sell, and now you want to use it, what should concern you is the amount of money you would have gotten if you sold. Because if you use it, you will lose that revenue. So what will be relevant here is the lost revenue. We are going to lose that money. That is the explanation. And we should recognize the 540,000 here. Yeah. That should bother us, because if we convert, sasa hiyo pesa tungepata kwa hiyo material, we will not. Then we come to type Q. Type Q, they are saying, could be sold to a scrap merchant for $360, but it would take 120 hours of labor paid at $270 per hour to put it into a suitable condition for sale. So the same concept, but now here we talk of net realizable value. Net realizable value. Net realizable value is the same thing as revenue, but now it has some costs that you must incur for you to earn that revenue. So what remains is what we call the net realizable value. So the total revenue that we shall get is $360. That's the total revenue. But for us to be able to get this revenue, we must incur an additional cost of 120 hours, each costing us 270. Yeah. So when we less that, we are able to know how much is the net realizable value. So work out that and give me the answer. Yes, 327,600. 327,600. The other thing is type R would need to be scrapped off at a a cost of 108. So this type R, it is supposed to be scrapped off. So I told you, if you are scrapping off, that disposal cost is supposed to be taken as a saving, because now you shall not incur that cost. You shall not incur that cost. It is what in economics they would call the consumer surplus. So with that, we will call it the saving on disposal costs. So that saving comes in, to reduce the costs. So it will come in here, 108,000, but now EG as a negative. It is not an incremental cost like these others. It's not an incremental cost like these others. It's a saving. Higher. We go to part 2. The materials for the conversion are at present in stock. So we said if material is already in the store, the original purchase price is irrelevant. The original purchase price is irrelevant. The original purchase price is irrelevant. Then we are told if not needed for the conversion, they could be used in the production of another machine in place of materials that would currently cost 684. So that is speaking to the direct materials that you can see up there. The direct materials. So the 576 that is mentioned there, it is irrelevant because these materials are already with us. So what we need to consider is the cost of replacing. So we will talk of the replacement costs, because if we happen to use them in making this machine, we will have to replace them. So the replacement cost of 684 is what should bother us. That is what should bother us. The conversion would be carried out in 2 departments. Department X is currently extremely busy, and it is estimated that its construction overheads, or rather its contribution to overheads and profits, is 2.5 for every shillings 1 of labor. So that is about direct wages. That is talking about direct wages. Now in the direct wages, we have Department X. Now Department X, we are told it is extremely busy. So if it is extremely busy, we have to recognize its normal costs first. The normal costs. The normal cost, as you can see in the table up there, is that we have 3 men working for 4 weeks and each being paid 27,000. Someone who is busy, we have to recognize that. Yeah, 324,000. 324,000. Then there is opportunity cost. There is opportunity cost. Now we are told that this job, this labor, if we take it, or we are told right now, where they are working, every 1 shilling is bringing us 2.5. So if we move them from there and bring them to do this conversion, we shall lose 2.5 for every 1 shilling. 2.5 for every 1 shilling. And how many shillings are we requiring from them? These 324. So for each of these 1 shilling here, we shall lose 2.5. So that gives us 810. 810. Department Y has idle staff. For organization reasons, its labor force cannot be reduced below the present level of 4 employees, all of whom are paid at the standard rate of 21,600. So when we come to Department Y, we are told it is idle. And I told you, if anything is idle or anyone is idle, their value is 0. So it is irrelevant. And therefore you charge it 0. It is very, very dangerous to be idle. Your value is 0. Even when your friends know you are idle, they charge you at 0, and you can easily be misused. The next is number 4, that says the designs and specifications of the original machine could be sold in a neighboring country for a sum of 270,000 if the machine is scrapped. So let's talk of the design. The designs. So these designs, we are told they could be sold. But now if we convert, we are not going to sell. So that will be a lost revenue again. So that should bother us, that we are going to lose 270,000. 270,000. Higher. The next is an additional temporary supervisor would have to be engaged for the conversion work at a cost of 162,000. It is the company's normal practice to charge supervision to fixed overhead. So there is a supervisor. Now for the supervisor, the cost is fixed. But I told you, if the cost increases because of that job, even if it is fixed, that one should be recognized. So we are going to look at, or to call it, the specific or the incremental. Incremental. Don't know whether that's how we write the word incremental. Incremental incremental fixed costs. Incremental fixed costs. So that one, because it is coming about specifically for this, you can also call it specific fixed costs. Specific. You can also call it marginal fixed costs. It should be recognized 162,000. Because without this conversion, we don't require the supervisor. Power Limited had paid Mega Techniques a non-returnable deposit. So the deposit that was paid. Now this that was paid is already sunk or historical. Anything that was done in the past, it is therefore irrelevant. That's why you see business people will always write in their receipts that cash once paid cannot be refunded. It becomes sunk, mezama. You can't get it. So that should not be considered. So we are done with the additional information. So once you are done with additional information, what you do, you come back now to the table here, the second table, and check item by item to be able to pick out any that has not been mentioned by the additional information so that you respond appropriately. So starting with direct materials, that one is already mentioned. So we proceed to direct wages, they are already mentioned here. Variable overheads, they have not been mentioned. So we come to overheads. Overhead costs. So overhead costs, we have first of all the variable. The variable, we are told it is 20% of the wages. So any variable cost is a relevant cost. So it is going to be 20% of the labor costs, and it is only in Department Y that Department X that we have a normal cost of 324. It is only in that.
Excuse me, Walimu.
Yes, we need.
Where did you get that 20%? I can't see it in the question.
Can you see where we have variable overhead?
Yes.
Below that line.
I can only see variable overhead under this scorecard. Yeah, costing card. Hapo nimepokea.
Below variable overhead, hakuna kitu kingine unaona? Maybe wewe unaangalia hiyo table ya kwanza. We are looking at the second table.
Oh, seen. Thanks.
Okay. Give me the 20%. $64,800. Yeah. The other one that is mentioned is fixed overheads, the fixed ones. So the fixed overheads, this one, you know, we said that they are always irrelevant. Not unless you have been told they increase, they have increased. Not unless you are told that the amount has increased. But with the way it is stated here, it is 0. It is 0. So you now get the total cost. The figure you get, you will call it the relevant costs, which is also the minimum price. The total costs, it is the minimum price. Yeah, that's all. That's what I wanted to remind you. So Winnie, you can mention the question you had in mind. I'm done with my list.
I had no specific question, though I wanted us to revise on this mini cost estimation of calculating standard error, T calculated, those things like standard error, R squared, T calculated, F, those things. Though I had no question in mind, but in specific question,
Okay.
don't have any.
Okay. Let me look for one. Go to your notes so that you are able to tell me whether the one that I will point out we solved in class. Go to where we looked at analysis of or interpretation of ANOVA tables, computer-based results. You are there. Tell me whether we solved this one of June 2005. It seemed like we solved it. Have you gotten there, Winnie?
Yeah.
Towards the end of that topic. Towards the end of that topic of cost estimation. That's where we could have solved it. We solved those questions. Or anyone else who is able to get those notes quickly?
June 2010, question 3.
That's the one we solved.
Yeah, June 2010, question 3B.
The next one we solved.
I can only see that one. Maybe someone can help us.
That is towards the end of the question or of the topic. Because that one, I guess, I solved in the course of within the topic, but towards the end. Okay. So if no one can see it, then let's look at June 2005, question 1. June 2005, question 1. Let's get there. Peter, you are not able to find that question.
Well, I don't have my notes. I forgot them.
Okay. Purity.
I can't see that question.
Irene. Okay. I don't know why I feel like we solved in class. We knew each other one. Can you see? At the end of the topic. Si huko katikati. Tukikaribia kumalizia.
Naona tu hiyo moja nilisoma, hiyo ya June 2010, question 3.
Did I give you assignments?
Si hapana.
Watu ni kama you don't maintain your notes vizuri.
I can also see, just like me, that's what I can see.
Hata assignment hakukuwa nayo.
Kuna
Aya basi. Then let's go to that question. I hope everyone has been able to find it. June 2005. June 2005. Now, under the interpretation of ANOVA, which question did we solve? Go there directly, Winnie. Interpretation of ANOVA. Are you there?
yes.
Which question did we solve? Oh, I remember. I think there is a question I solved using Excel. Then we copied. Is it there?
Yeah. But I can only see workings under my notes. There's only workings where we did that analysis of NOVA, but the specific question I can't see. I can't trace. I think it's that one which we copied from the Excel.
Okay. Yeah. It was one of the questions we were solving manually. Ni hiyo tu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nimekumbuka we solved using Excel, then we interpreted the results. So all the same, let's proceed to this. I hope you have seen it. Have we seen the question in the past papers? June 2005, question 1.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have seen it, it must be there. So everyone else should also see. Okay, yes, Peter. So the question says that Tony Kichumi, a financial analyst at Green City Bus Company, is examining the behavior of the company's monthly transportation costs for budgeting purposes. The transportation costs are a sum of two types of costs: operating costs, such as fuel and labor; maintenance costs, such as overhaul of engines and spraying; and Kichumi collects monthly data on items 1 and 2 above and the distance covered by the buses. Monthly observations for the year ended were as follows. So we are given the month, the operating cost, maintenance cost, and the distance covered. Kichumi ran 3 linear regression equations based on the data above and came up with the following results. Regression equation 1, we are given that. Equation 2 and equation 3. And now we are told to evaluate the 3 linear regression equations using those tests. So, taipanga namna hii. So we have details. We have regression 1. Regression 1. Then we have regression 2. Then we have regression 3. Regression 3. So I'll start with what I would call preliminaries. Preliminaries. Preliminaries are the basics that you need to understand in that, or you need to pick in that equation, and they are not awarded any mark, but they will support you in answering where the marks are. So the preliminaries that you must be able to pick. One is the dependent variable. The dependent variable. The dependent variable. Write the word completed. Mine I'm not completing because of the space. The dependent variable. The next one that you need to pick is the independent. Independent variable. You must be able to pick that. When you know the independent variable or variables, because they could be more than one, maybe let me put it that way, variable or variables, that will help you the format, to know the format of the equation. And when you know the format of the equation, you can bring the expected relationship, or you can, that one you can bring it when you're doing the test. The format Then you can now bring the actual or the equation. The equation. So those four, you should be able to pick them. And I'm saying those ones, they don't yield any mark in most of the cases. It is not even a must you indicate them in your workings, but you must be able to pick them. So looking at equation 1, who do you think is our dependent variable? Equation 1 or regression 1. Who is our dependent variable? Not really. The dependent variable. Not really. The dependent variable is the operating costs. Hope you can see somewhere written operating costs. That is our dependent variable. It is our Y. The dependent variable is the distance. In kilometers. That's the independent. And therefore the format should be Y is equals to, if I just take the format they have taken, A plus D plus B, D. And remember that is the format we normally say Y is equals to A plus BX. Maybe I can combine them so that it becomes familiar. It is A plus BX. Hii ndio huwa tunatumia sana. So X is being represented by D. So you must be able to pick, this is our Y, this is our X. So given this table that you see here now is the table of the coefficients. So our equation will then be Y is equal to the intercept, is also called the constant. It is 309.19. I hope you can see it there. Plus 0.054 D. That way, if I go with that. So that is the equation. So with the same understanding, now tell me who is the dependent variable in equation 2 or in regression 2? The dependent variable in regression 2. Yeah, good. Maintenance cost. That's our Y. Maintenance costs. And our independent variable, our independent variable is also distance covered. So distance in kilometers. And because we just have one, we have one independent variable. When you have one independent variable, this is the format. Y is equals to A plus BD. Let's use the format they are using. BD. And therefore the equation is Y is equals to 531.55. Now the slope is negative. So negative 0.031D. I would like you to do equation 3 the same way. Let me give you 1 minute. Just equation 3 in the same way. Yes, 1 minute is over, and I want to believe you have done like this. You have said total transportation costs, distance in kilometers, Y is equals to A plus BD. And then you have given the equation as Y is equals to 840.73 plus 0.023 D. Yeah. So those are the basics. So now we can start answering the question. So the question had said we test the economic plausibility. So economic plausibility. Economic plausibility tests. Economic plausibility tests. Now, in the economic plausibility tests, we look at the relationship. So we bring the relationship here, or we write the relationship. First of all, we bring what is expected. Then we bring what we have observed. And then from there now we make a comment. And I told you we have 3 types of relationships. There is what we call direct. There is what we call inverse. And there is what we call null. Direct is where they change towards the same directions. The items change towards the same directions. And is always represented by the positive sign of the slope. Positive. They change towards the same directions. Higher inverse, it is represented by a negative sign for the slope. and the values change towards opposite directions, or the variables change towards opposite directions. Null is where we have zero value of the slope, and it means that the variables do not affect each other. The variables do not affect each other. So having said so, I would like you to tell me, what kind of a relationship do you expect to see between operating cost and distance covered? What kind of a relationship do you expect to see? Yeah, direct. They should change towards the same direction. What kind of a relationship do you expect to see between distance and maintenance costs? Yes, direct also. And what kind of a relationship do you expect to see between total transport costs and distance? Direct as well. Now, that is what we call expected. But when reality dawns, you see the reality, or you see now the actual. And that's why you see people saying, I was expecting it, or I was not expecting. So if you are expecting, they have changed towards the same direction. If you are not expecting, it has gone towards the opposite. So what kind of a relationship are we seeing here now in the equation? Which one is this? Yeah, that is direct. Which one is this one? Universe. Which one is this one? Direct. So if what you are expecting is what you see, that does not create a surprise. So if it does not create a surprise, we say it is making sense, we say it is plausible. But if it has gone out of what you are expecting, that's when you hear people saying it's not making sense. It's not making sense, or I'm not understanding it. So this one, the comment, we will say it is plausible. It is plausible because this and this are in agreement. So hiyo iko sawa. This one is spurious. Spurious means nonsensical. It's not making sense. You cannot have your maintenance cost reducing as you cover more distance. It's not making sense. And this other one, it is plausible. It is plausible. Plausible. So that is how you test the economic plausibility. So draw a line hapa, ndio ufunge hiyo, we go to the next one. Unless you have a question there. For me, I'll wrap. So the next one is goodness of fit tests. Goodness of fit tests. Goodness of fit tests. So the goodness of fit tests there are 6 tests. They are 6 tests. If you remember, we have R square, we have the standard error of estimate, we have F, we have R, we have the standard error for the slope, and we have T. Those are the 6 tests. So what you do, you check at the report presented. And if any of these is there, you pick it and comment. But if it is absent, you don't talk about it. If it is absent, you don't talk about it. Yeah. So, starting with R square, I can see it. So R square. So for R square, I can talk about the value. So the value in the first equation is 61%. In the second equation is 68%. And the third one is 29%. So you can give the meaning. This one has the meaning, or you can interpret. So sasa hapa utasema 61% of operating costs is explained by distance covered. Is explained by distance covered. That's the meaning. 68% of maintenance costs is explained by distance covered. Is explained by distance covered. 29% of total transportation costs is explained by distance covered. Yeah. That's how it is interpreted. That's the meaning, the interpretation. Then you can also make a comment. You can make a comment about that. I told you, I gave you a range. Kasema, if this is 60 and this is 80, anything below here, you reject. Anything above here, you accept. But whatever is inside here, you accept at your own risk. Between 60 and 80, you accept at your own risk. So this one is around there. So we can say acceptable. Let's just not complicate things. We say it's acceptable, but with caution. Acceptable with caution. I think it's good we add that. Acceptable with caution. Kujihadhari. Even this one is also acceptable with caution. It's not very strong. Haijafikisha vipimo. But this other one, hii iko kwa side ya not yet acceptable. Not acceptable. We will not say we reject, we give it time.
Question, Mwalimu.
Yes.
Now, this measure of 60, this range of 60 to 80, is it standard?
Yes, that's what is recommended by the practitioners. It's actually even in our notes.
Oh.
Yeah, there's what we call the thresholds.
Mwalimu,
Just like when you go to audit, they will tell you the materiality thresholds. Yes, Purity.
what is the threshold of that one?
Of?
But then the one that you're doing, so because you're saying 29% is not acceptable.
Sababu, this one applies to everyone. I'm saying any relationship that you find yourself in, okay, sorry for that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm saying any relationship you find yourself in, before you commit yourself, you give yourself time. You give yourself time. Time for what? Time to know that person or time to know that institution. If you look at how we get into marriages, you don't just pop into a person in the streets or wherever, and within one day or 1 week, you tell us, this is my husband or this is my wife. You take time. Now that time is helping you to know. Kwanza unamjua kumuonanga. Ni kumuona tu unamuonanga. You don't even know how they talk. That's part of kumjua. Umeanza kuhesabu. Tena mnasalimiana kidogo. Mkikaakaa unajua jina yake. Sasa percentage bado zinapanda. Mkikaakaa unajua namba yake ya simu. Mkikaakaa maybe unajua kwao ama kwake. Mkikaakaa unajua brothers zake, sisters wake, unajua wazazi. Mkikaakaa you know the cousins. Hivyo. You get to know the person until when now you think that this is a person I can say is my husband or can be my husband or my wife. So you don't just do it immediately. That time is what allows the percentages kupanda mpaka zifike around 60. The same thing even within the investment. Even a school like this one, Chacha, most likely you do not just see an advert in Chacha na ukalipa tu hapo. You had to make some inquiry. Even if you just called me directly. Kauliza na hii mnafanya nini na nini na nini na nini. Yeah. Then after you have known information that you think, and whatever is 60% ni ile wewe mwenyewe unafikiria it is enough according to you. After you think now you have known, you commit yourself, unalipa pesa yako. Ama unasema now I do whatever. So before you get to 60, it is advisable you don't accept. Ukishafika 60 to 80, you can accept, but with caution. But if you have known a person for more than 80%, you have known a person, you know so much about them, that person, you can engage them for whatever kind of a relationship without fear. That's what we mean. So is that making sense, Purity?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And this applies not only in marriages, even in terms of money. Kuna mtu anaweza kuja kukope pesa. Maybe mlionana tu jana, akwambia nipatie 2,000. Mwambie hii, hata hatujajuana, sikujui. You don't just give. Otherwise you risk. But kuna mtu venye mmekaa na yeye na unamjua for a long time, akakuitisha hata 50,000 na uko nayo, you don't even think twice, unampea. So unakubali your proposal. Yeah. So sasa hii haijafikisha vipimo, hatukatai, hatumfukuzi, but we do not give in to the proposals that are debatable. Kwanza unangoja, unamjua, ndio finally you say yes, or you agree with what they are saying. Yeah. Even in business partnerships, nowadays I've seen when you go to open a bank account as partners, kuna kakrao sasa wanawauliza, for how long have you known each other? By the time unakuja kufungua joint account, umejuana muda mgani? Because it has been noted that kama hamjakaa sana, hamjajuana, mutaingia kwa hiyo biashara na muanze kusubuana, na hiyo kusubuana inaweza fika kwa bank. Wengine wanapiga simu huko wanasema hiyo cheki isilipwe, hiyo account kwanza isimamishwe. So the bank may want to prevent some of those things. Yeah. Good. I think that's well understood. Haya. So mine I will wrap so that I got the next. Watu wenye wanataka kukon, they deny you the opportunity of time. They create urgency, ndio usonge haraka. The next one that we can see, SE, the standard error of estimate, is not here. What is there is the standard error for the slope, SB. So SB, we have the value. In equation 1, that is the value that you can see there, 0.014. Hope you can see it in equation 1. In equation 2, we have 0.007. And this one, 0.011. That is the standard error for the slope. Now here, we cannot make the meaning, or if you want to make the meaning, it will just be the same. It is the amount of error contained. If you want to write the meaning, it is the amount of error in this value for the slope. That's the meaning. And the meaning is the same. Hii ndio iko hapa, ndio iko hapa. So the meaning is the same. So the comment that you can work with here, if you just compare, this is the highest. This is the highest. Hii ndio the lowest. Sasa hii tunaweza ita medium. And you know we normally say for the errors, The lower the error, the better. If you're in a relationship, the lower the errors being made, the better the relationship. But if you're in a relationship that has very many errors, that's not a good one. Errors are what would generally call conflicts. Conflicts. I hope that is clear. I rub. That's all. So if we are done with that, the next one that we need to check.
Wait a minute.
Okay. Maliza kuandika niambie. Yes, so we are good. The next one, tushaangalia R square, tukacomment. SE nikasema haiko. SB tumeiona. Hiyo ingine ni F. F is not there. F is not there. Hiyo ingine ni R. R is not there. The last one is T. T is there. So T. Now for T, we normally have two values. There is what we call the calculated. The calculated. Calculated, the formula for the calculated is B out of SB. But now for us here, they have computed. In equation 1, there is that. Maybe I can show you how it's computed. 0.054, you divide by, that is the slope, you divide by the standard error, 0.14. That is the one giving us 3.86. But for this one, you don't require this. You only need to be able to know this one. But kama hii haingekuwa, that's how we arrive at it. With the same understanding, we have this one, minus 4.43 and 2.09. Yeah, that's the calculated. The next value you require when you're in the world of T is the critical. Critical is what you get from the tables. And this one, you get it as plus or minus T 1 minus alpha. Now our alpha here, we are told to test at 95. So it is 0.05 out of 2. And the degrees of freedom. The degrees of freedom would be n. N is 12. 12 minus 1. So go to your T tables, kibia kwa T tables.
Malim, excuse me.
Yes.
Is it 12 minus 1 or minus 2? See, if you add 1 as the independent, K is 1 plus 1 now, it will be 2 hammer.
When you are testing for the whole equation, that's when you use 2. But if it is for the slope, you use 1.
Okay.
Yeah, if you check your notes, you see that. Though there is no much difference. There's no much. So hata ukisahau, the probability that you make the wrong conclusion is very low. So ukibia kwa T table, uniangalilie. This is a two-tail. So uende kwa two-tail confidence, urudi nyuma kwa 95, then uteremuke kwa 11 degrees. Uniambie what value is there.
Mwalimu, nilikuwa nimepotea kidogo,
Yes.
internet inasumbua kidogo hapo kwa critical. Maybe you can come again kindly.
Hii critical, we are saying it is, you go to the students T table. Students T table. Uangalie where we have two-tail. Two-tail. Ile inakuanga huko mwisho. Then you move towards left. You stop at 95%. 95. Then you go down to where we have 11 degrees. Unisomee your value that is there. That okay, Peter?
Yes, okay, thank you.
You are explaining that is it 95 or 5%? Are we going to percent or 95? Because we are explaining that we look against 95%. And initially you said 5%. Now I'm getting confused.
You should not at all, because they go hand in hand. When I talk of alpha being 5, it means I'm at 95. When I'm talking of 95, it means my alpha is 5. Actually, when we are writing, we write alpha, this one. But in the table, utaenda kwa 95, wameandika 95. So I can use either of the two languages. Because when you are writing, we use this, but in the table, we have 95. So ukiambiwa 95, you should know. Ukiambiwa 5, you should know the other way around. So they go hand in hand. That's why I'm talking of 95, lakini sijaandika 95. Is that okay, Winnie?
Yes.
Okay. So I can see you have given me 2.201. Now this 2.2 is plus or minus. Maybe I need to draw hapa kidogo just for the first one. Hiyo ingine I remind you. So when we say plus or minus, this is minus 2.201. And this is positive 2.201. So if you are within here, we say it is insignificant, or we say accept. If you are here, we say it is significant. If you are here, we say it is significant. Ukijipata huku, maybe I need to onyesha hii mshale hivyo. Ukijipata huko, it is significant. If you are within here, between this and this, it is insignificant. If you find yourself above here, it is significant. Hapa ndio tunaitanga reject, hapa ni accept, hapa ni reject. So badala ya kuchora hivyo nilifaa kuandika hivi. Plus or minus 2.201. Plus or minus 2.201. Ukiona imeandikwa hivyo, ukiona imeandikwa hivi, ni kumaanisha hivi. Yes, you reject when it is significant. To reject means it is significant. Is it making sense, Winnie?
Yes.
Why it is making sense is because we are looking for errors. When you are in a relationship, unatafuta makosa ama uzuri. Winnie,
Uzuri.
are you sure? People look for bad things. And I'm sure umewahi ona hii ama ukasema huyu mtu tumekaa na yeye hivi hakubuki ile mambo yote nimemfanyia mzuri. Hii moja tu ndio anaongelea, ndio anataka kutishia this relationship. Ndio inafanya anifanyie hivi. Yes, because people count the wrong. Yeah. The wrong. So hata hapa tunahesabu the wrong. Hii ka 5% hako tu. Tunasahau hiyo 95%. Hiyo 5 ndio itafanya tuseme accept ama reject. Tunaangalia makosa. So kama hiyo makosa tutailebo significant, ni kubwa, we will reject. But tukisema hiyo makosa ni kidogo, we accept. That is the reason why tunasema kama ni significant to reject, because we are coming from the error, makosa. Watu angalia makosa sana. Aya, so if we are okay with that, let's make the comment. Let's make the comment. Naona time imesonga, the comment. So hii sasa ukiangalia uweke kwa hizi parameters. Is it significant or insignificant? This one. Significant or insignificant?
Significant.
Good. It is significant. Aha, hii ingine.
So we reject. Significant, we reject.
Yes, we reject. We reject the null hypothesis. We reject the null hypothesis. It's good to complete that. So it's not just rejecting, but rejecting the null hypothesis. Okay. Haya. Because sasa ukiweka the null hypothesis, inapiduka. Haya, this other one.
Significant.
Significant also. And the last one?
Insignificant.
Insignificant. Good. Maybe I need to explain. Nimesema when you put the null hypothesis, sasa inapiduka. Because the null hypothesis was saying the relationship is not, or rather, the independent variable is not a good determinant. That's what the null hypothesis was saying. So when we reject, then tunaachana na hiyo that is saying X is not significant determinant, then we accept the alternative which says X is a significant determinant. So make sure you check your notes so that you're able to clarify on that. Higher. So for the goodness of faith tests, we have done the 6 of them, or we have gone through the 6 of them. So those 3 ndio zilikuwa present. Aha. Let us go to the third category. Have you finished writing? Can I wrap? Can I wrap?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The last category of our tests is assumptions. We have 6 assumptions. 6 assumptions. But only 2 are present in our data. So because of the interest of time, I will only talk of the 2 that are present. The others utaangalia kwa your notes. The first one that is present is linearity. Linearity. And linearity, it is simply tested by developing the equation and checking whether the equation takes this format. And because you can see the equation we have, they take this format, you simply say here, this is linear, this is linear, and this is linear. It's as simple as that. Linearity is tested by developing the equation. Once you develop the equation, you check whether it takes this form. If yes, that is linear. If no, it is nonlinear. So all these equations are of this form. So hiyo tumemaliza. The second assumption is autocorrelation. Autocorrelation. Now, autocorrelation is tested using Durbin-Watson statistic. Durbin-Watson statistic. So Durbin-Watson statistic, you can see in equation 1, it is given as 1.61. Equation 2, it is 1.72. And equation 3, it is 2.34. Durbin-Watson statistic. Then the comment or the conclusion. We said if Durbin-Watson statistic is found to be between 0 and 4, between 0 and 4, it means there is no autocorrelation. So sasa this one is between 0 and 4, so we will just write absent, meaning autocorrelation is absent. Even here, autocorrelation is absent. And here, autocorrelation is absent. Autocorrelation is absent. Yeah, the other 4 assumptions you shall check in your notes. They are not present in this data that we are given. So that is all. So that brings us to the end of our today's lesson. And also, yes, Irene.
This specification analysis criteria, have you done it?
Here are your assumptions.
Oh.
The specifications, criteria, your assumptions. Aya. Irene, wewe umeongea ama ni Winnie? Kama ni Winnie.
Ni Winnie, not me.
Oh, okay. Good. So I was saying that that brings us to the end of our today's lesson and also to the end of our semester. So I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you for joining me at Chacham Consultants. for trusting me to be your teacher. I have no doubt that I've been able to deliver the expectations, and I believe that everything else remaining constant, if you revise well, you'll be able to pass this paper. So I wish you the very best. I'm just a phone call away between now and the exam. If you have any issue, you can raise it. But as I said, I'll be meeting the Saturday class, the evening class on Saturday. So I will still send one more video with them. Maybe the list nilikuwa now nimemaliza, but I can still look for some more. Going by the agreement we had in our last class, can look for some more so that I solve with them. So you watch it. Then you go and do the exam and pass. Sasa ukishapita, I know most of you, kama kuna karatasi ingine umebakisha, you will still join us. We have the papers next semester. Those who are done with the compulsory papers, sasa ujiunge na mimi in the business data analytics. Yeah, that's also a paper I teach so well. And I also request that you support me in marketing. Speak to as many people as you come across. Tell them about Chacham, about joining us. So I think that's all that I needed to say. And also, I'm planning to have a prayers session on Thursday next week at 8 p.m. just for 1 hour. I've invited a pastor friend of mine to just come and pray for us. I'm a believer, and therefore I believe in committing to God what I'm doing. So we want to invite you to join in that so that we can say a word of prayer together, just 1 hour on Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. online, so that we can commit these exams to God. So I think that's all. Thank you very, very much. Have a nice time. And we meet now in our next level. I've said Friday or Thursday.
Oh, now this Thursday, A.M.A next Thursday. Sorry.
So today is Thursday, so it's next week. Next week, Thursday. Next week, Thursday. I will do a poster to remind us. I will also do a communication. You remember in our advert, we had said we will offer QuickBooks. I'll do a communication that will guide on how that will be done immediately you are through with the exams, in case you may want to do QuickBooks if you have not so far. Yeah, I'll do that communication in the course of the week. Thank you very much. God bless.